Hey guys, today we're going to talk about some more base running, specifically from first base. Now, we teach a lot of kids at different levels, some that have leading, some that don't. But here's a couple of key components to being a good base runner and doing things the right way. First of all, you get your hit, whether it's a hit to the outfield or you ran through the base and you're getting back to the bag. When you get back to the bag, it's not happy time to celebrate that you just got a hit. You can be happy. Enjoying the game and having fun is a big part of it, but it's time to pick up your signs. And now you're a base runner, you have to listen to your first base coach and you have to look at your third base coach for signs. Once you get that, once you know what's next, smart base runners survey the land. They check out where players are positioned, especially your outfielders. So you know, without looking or before looking, you have a good idea. Like a lot of times, especially at the younger ages, the right fielders hug the right field line. So if you look and you see that right before the play is about to start, and the hitter hits the ball towards the right center field gap, before you even look, you have a really good idea in your mind. He's got no chance to catch that ball because I just looked and he's way over here. So survey the land. You do not have to be fast to be a good base runner. It helps, but I've seen lots of fast base runners who are not good base runners, and lots of guys who aren't as fast who are even better because they have instincts and they do things the right way and they check out and anticipate what's going to happen and they give themselves every advantage they can to succeed at what they're about to do. So here's the key element, whether you're in Little League and you're leading off the bag this way, or you're at the higher levels and you're taking your lead. Timing, 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 timing. When the pitcher throws the ball and the batter is about to hit it and that ball is in the strike zone, you've got to be ready to go. You can't be napping. So if you're in a league where you're here, you can't be daydreaming and looking around. You got to be ready and anticipating, here's the ball moving. You got to be ready to go as soon as that ball gets to that point. As a base runner who's at a level where there's leads, first of all, to talk about your leads, we like to lead, step off the base with our left foot, and then right foot, and then shuffle off. We feel that that puts you in the best position not to get tricked by the pitcher on a quick step off when your legs are crossing over one another, okay? So how far of a lead do you take? The leads that you take depend on the individual. Here's a rule of thumb. You don't want to take a silly lead that's so short and you're so afraid that you have no chance to steal a base or beat a throw that you should beat to the base. And you don't want to take some silly, crazy long lead that one, you're going to get picked off, or you're like this, you know, hey, I got a big lead, but you're thinking, I'm going back. You have to determine what that lead is for you. So it's left and right and a shuffle off, and usually a couple shuffles put you in a good position. And the rule of thumb is that you should get far enough so that if the pitcher throws over, it's a step and a dive, and your body length brings you into the back of the bag. You always want to dive into the back of the bag over here because he has a longer distance to go to make that tag. So you can practice that. And on our turf, it's easy to do. So figuring out your lead, being comfortable with your lead, not being too short, not being too big so that you're scared to death. Also, the angle of your lead. Here's a couple little things. We all know that the quickest distance between 2 points is a straight line. We want to be in a straight line. But there's a little variation between this straight line to the back of the bag and this straight line to the back of the bag or the front of the bag. So I think, from what I remember as a player and felt such an advantage, when you take your lead on the inside of the bag, the distance that it appears you are from the bag to the pitcher seems shorter than when you're back here. When you're further back on the back end of the bag or even behind it, now this is silly because now it's not a straight line, but even if you're in here, this same distance appears to be a little bit farther than that same distance in the front of the bag. So why not use that as an advantage, that when the pitcher is looking over his shoulder for a right-hander and he sees you, which it's not a clear vision for you, he can't turn his shoulder, he thinks that you look a little closer, maybe he's going to go home, and especially you're stealing, or you're going to get a better jump, it just puts you at an advantage. So you get that front of the bag, straight line steal, and in an athletic position. Everybody's an individual, everybody's going to try to do things their own way. We can't teach the exact same stance for everybody, but here's a couple of points. I think too many kids have that right foot in front of their left foot. That's a no-no. That kid now has to, when he breaks to go that way, he has to run almost around his front leg. Make sure they're at least straight with their feet, and I also think turning that right foot open is a little bit of an advantage. Is it a disadvantage to get back to the bag? Maybe fractionally, and now from this front of the bag position, you have to dive to the back of the bag, but I think the deception that it creates for the pitcher is well worth it, okay? So, and again, now we go back to the timing thing. You have to time the pitcher, and you have to look at the pitcher, study the pitcher from the bench, what he's doing on his other moves, when he's going to the plate, when he's not. We like to look at the heels. We'll get into that in another video. We'll talk about picking off the finer points of pitchers when they're coming to first and when they're going to second. But basically, you have to be nice and relaxed in an athletic position, not with your hands on your knees or on your thighs. Some guys like to do this, some guys like to do that, and there's a couple of different ways that are taught. Here's the way that we've been doing it for years, is that you get from this position, and the key is, just like when you're running out of the batter's box, is you have to get into a sprinter's position as quickly as you can. And here's the thought, that when he throws home, you fire off of this side, off your left side, and you drive through with your left arm. So it's just that move. So now the sprinter's position is left arm forward, right knee forward. So right now, boom, I'm in that position, and now my next step, I'm in a sprinter's position. So immediately with that crossover step and firing through with your left arm, you're in a sprinter's position right away, and you need to stay low. You can't come up and do that. A lot of guys like to emphasize the right arm more than the left arm here, that it's not just this, that it's that you're firing with your right arm back, so it helps you explode and get into that sprinter's position right away. We have seen a lot of MLB base stealers, great MLB base stealers, dropping this right foot a little bit, that their first move is here and go. I was always taught that that's a little bit of a delay, but apparently they think that that gets them into a little bit more of an athletic position, and a lot of guys are doing it. Let's try to stick with the first way, but if kids just can't get that way, because this is a little bit of a difficult maneuver, that little step, if it's not too big, is acceptable, okay? Your secondary lead, when you're not stealing. So I'm in my lead, I'm comfortable, the pitcher goes home. We want to shuffle, 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 however long your strides are on your shuffle. The key is to get as much distance as you can to be aggressive, and not some crazy distance that the catcher can backpick you, okay? The key is the timing element of this. When that pitch is about to be hit, your right foot should be hitting the ground and your shoulders should be square to the plate. He hits that ball, you're in a perfect position to move that way or back to the bag, depending on what happened. If you get to this position and stop, and the ball's not hit yet, and then the ball is hit, you have to re-energize your body to go in whichever direction it takes too long. Conversely, if you're hopping and your foot's in the air like this when the ball's hit, your foot has to get down, and then you have to go. So timing of this is crucial. Shuffle, shuffle, foot's hitting the ground, bam, bam, the ball's hit, and you move in either direction. Key to have your shoulders square to home and not being here. Any good catcher sees you here and the batter swings and misses, he's throwing behind you easy, okay? So real simple stuff, takes practice, especially for the young kids. Rep it over, rep it over, rep it over, rep it over and over and over and over. To have these tools in your toolbox as a baseball player will make your players, our kids, our teams better. Okay? Hope that helps.